Hello! Hello, hopefully we are live. I never trust we're live until like a block of comments come through and then I'm like, oh hey, look at that, we're live. Hello, everyone. For anyone who doesn't know, this is the first episode of the Burned Books Club. We are here to discuss the January-February book, which was Battle Royale, which is this one over here's favourite book of all time. So this is going to be fun because it was not my favourite. But we will get into that. For anyone that doesn't know, very quickly, Burned Books Club is a dystopia book club. We read a book every 2 months. So you have 2 months to read each book. Whilst we're here, the next book we are reading is The Day of the Triffids by Wyndham, for anyone that wants to join us in March and April. Quick introductions, I'm Maddie. My channel is Book Browsing Blog. You are on my channel, and Spoops.
I am Spoops. My channel is Spoopy Hole. I just realised I didn't put it in my name, but my channel is Spoopy Hole, and this is my favourite book. So I'm so excited to talk about it.
Own it. Oh, that's block capitals. No, don't edit on the fly, Maddie. What am I doing? Spoopy Hole. Just quickly, thank you. I was very proud of myself. So in terms of the live show, we'll be going for about an hour-ish. The first, not a set amount of time, but the first bit will be completely spoiler-free. So if you're here and you haven't read the book, no need to worry. We will not be spoiling anything. We will be very clear when we are going into spoilers. It might be in 5 minutes. It might be in 20. We will let you know when it's happening, though, basically when we've run out of things to say. Feel free in the comments to ask questions, leave opinions. Please interact. We want to know what you thought. But exactly. I guess best starting place for both of us and everyone in the comments, star rating, overall non-spoilery thoughts. Do you want to go first? Start on a positive.
So I have read this before. I read this in, I think it was February 2020, so really not that long ago, to be honest. And I absolutely loved it so much. So when this all started and there was potential for this to be read, I was like, oh my God. I get to read it again. And I've got to say, it was just as good as the first time I read it. I loved it so much. I gave it 5 stars, probably not even a surprise to anyone. And yeah, it was really nice reading it again. It was really interesting reading it again with all of the knowledge in hindsight, like, because I obviously knew how it was going to end and I knew all of the stuff. So reading it again, there are little things in there that's like little hints and stuff, and it was really interesting to reread it.
Yeah, I can imagine it would be. The interesting thing is, I feel like I would like it less on a reread because I already know everything, but I don't know. I haven't reread it. But yeah, this was my first time reading it. I knew Spoops loved it, so we had to pick it as the first book because I wanted to try it as well. I 4-starred it. I didn't absolutely love it. I will say, and I said this in like other lives and stuff, I do not think it was helped by the way I read this. I started it like 2 weeks ago. A series of events happened and I didn't get to read it. And then I had to pick it back up this week. And so I read this very spread out in like really small sections, often doing like 20 pages a day, which is quite frankly not the way to read this book. This needs to be read fast. So that definitely impacted my enjoyment. I felt slightly underwhelmed just because I feel like I'd seen so many people have such like visceral reactions to it and being like, oh my God, I can't believe it. And I feel like the strongest reaction I had at any point was like, I just didn't get to like really, other than no spoilers, but other than eyeballs, that was my one very strong reaction. But other than that,
I'm glad I got to see that reaction as well. I was
like, reading it like, but although I liked the ending, although I thought it was all quite clever and quite good, it didn't like hit me at any point. I wasn't like, oh my God. And I feel like that's probably the thing that knocked it down. And without spoiling, I feel this is generic enough to not be spoiling as long as you know the premise of the book. The middle dragged for me because it felt very, very, very repetitive of this is how this person dies. This is how this person dies. And I was like, okay, we've seen 5 of these, we don't need to see 30. Like, and I feel like that was the biggest thing that slowed it down for me because the beginning I loved and the end I really liked. Middle 200 to 300 pages a little bit like.
It is a very, very, very long book, and I think it still would have been like as good if it was like 200 pages shorter. I think it was dragged out. And I think because I read it so quickly, like I didn't have that reaction to the middle because I read the middle so fast. But I can see how if you're reading it over a period of time that the middle would be very samey.
Yeah, that's the thing. I feel like if I'd read that middle section in like one day, like I read the last 200 pages this morning, and I feel like if I'd done that with the middle, I would have loved it, because looking back, I kept thinking like, would I have wanted those pages cut/condensed? And I'm like, no, although obviously there's a focus on the core characters and then you jump off to like see other people die and stuff. I wouldn't have wanted that to not be there. It did add, but when you're reading it not really, really, really fast, it does get very repetitive and very slow. And then it's like weighing up that value add with like, I'm kind of bored. And I feel like it therefore lost the impact of all of those deaths and the horror, because I was just kind of sat there like, yeah. Like, and I also never attached to any character other than the very small core group, because when a new character is introduced, I knew it was for the purpose of them dying. So I was like, okay, you're gonna die in 2 pages.
You could also tell when he was just introducing the character who was gonna die at the end of the chapter. Like, you could just tell that there's no point in even learning about that character, really.
See, going to comments, I do agree with this. I think it was very impactful seeing every single death. I liked that none of them weren't shown, and that's why I said, like, looking back on it, I wouldn't want that section cut or condensed.
Yeah,
it just really doesn't lend itself to the unfortunate way that I read it, which is unfortunate, but happens.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I'm glad, because obviously we had the main characters that we focused on, but I'm glad that we didn't just stay with them for the entire thing, because I would be wondering what was happening on the island at different points. So that is interesting.
I agree. I liked getting the overall picture. I think my biggest thing would have been maybe very slightly condense it so that you're seeing like maybe 60% central characters, like 30-40% other people, whereas this was probably almost more of the book spent seeing other people. And I found myself, which I guess is a good thing, I found myself the whole time wanting to get back to, I won't even name who, just for the sake of absolutely no spoilers, that like central core group. I was so keen to get back to that, or I guess it was a couple of groups, that I was waiting for that instead of investing in the other bits happening. Though some of the depictions were quite impressive. I will admit, I'm slightly concerned about this guy's like thought and detail he has put into how deep death can be, but props to him for
Mr. Takami really sat down and jotted down every single way you could possibly die in this situation.
In terms of this, I'm not going to give specifics, but as an overall, I would say in detail, you probably see around 35 to 40. And then in passing, probably at least another 10 to 15.
Yeah.
So
how many
just like other surrounding characters. I won't say who, but...
Okay, so this isn't spoilers saying how many classmates there is at the start, is it?
No, there's 42 classmates at the start, but don't say how many die, because that is a spoiler.
Yeah, that is. I just wanted to like remember how many classmates went into it to begin with.
Yeah, 42. 21 girls, 21 boys is the start. That's a very quick thing. For anyone who's interested, the plot of this book, the premise of this book, for anyone that's not read it, who's here for the non-spoilery bit, totally didn't just forget to do this bit. It didn't happen. This follows a battle royale, basically a last man standing competition. So a group of school children, a class of 42 school children, are taken away sort of completely out of the blue and told you all have to kill each other until one of you remains, and then they win. And there are loads of rules put in place like that, but there is no way out of this.
Yeah.
The only option is kill or be killed. And it's very dark, it's very graphic, but it is a very interesting concept. And for anyone that is thinking it, yes, it's quite a similar thing to Hunger Games. This was written first. There has been over the years.
Very, very vexed when it comes to...
I don't think it's that similar at all.
Oh, but it is.
It's really not. The only premise that is similar is a group of kids in a battle royale. And that's not that special a concept. Other than that, the story was completely different, I thought.
I know, and I did like in Hunger Games, it was like all about being televised and stuff, and it was a big spectacle. But it's just when people are like, oh, so it's Hunger Games, then I'm like, this came first, come on, props where it needs to be.
I agree. I always refer to it as Hunger Games-esque, but always follow it up with, but it did come first. But if you want to get a vibe for what it's like, you're more likely to be familiar with Hunger Games, so I'm going to call it Hunger Games-esque.
Yeah.
I saw a comment and I've now lost it. This saved my ass and my memory. Honestly, I could not keep track of who was left and how many was left, but having that number made such a difference. When you're seeing so many deaths with so many people, it's hard to remember. So having that like countdown, A, adds a lot of suspense, and B, so useful. Useful.
Although I was talking to India and she was saying that she would like read and then it would obviously be at the bottom of the page and her eyes would go straight to the bottom of the page and she'd see. But like you knew that someone was going to die anyway.
Yeah, there was a few chapters where I don't feel like this is a particular spoiler because again, there's like 60 or something chapters in this book, 70, 80 chapters. So this is not a spoiler. 70, 80 chapters, there was a few moments where like I think a character was dying, I'd flicked at that and the number hadn't gone down and I'd be like, ooh, ooh, the next page might be interesting. It's not happening. But I feel like that's not really a spoiler. We are probably going to get into spoilers soon.
Yeah, I'm not sure how much more we can say that's spoiler-free.
Ooh, one I still can't work out. Is it alternate history or near future? I would have said it was future.
I don't think it ever specifies, does it? I always thought it was alternate history. Because
I think the reason it feels like history, it was probably future from the 90s.
True, and we are the future.
Our technology, but they do have more advanced and different technology, and it felt more like they've had rock music, they've had the 80s, and then the world's gone to this like really different place. So I consider it near future, but I guess from 20, 30 years ago. So to us, from this perspective, I guess it would be alternate history.
Someone's just said they think it's set after World War II. Which I think
I would definitely say it's later than that. Just because
they
of all
talk
the rock music
the rock music, talk about Jimi Hendrix and all of that, don't they?
Yeah.
Like the Doors and stuff.
Yeah, there's a lot of
I always thought
when did Born to Run come out? That's the song.
That is the song, that's true.
And that's Bruce Springsteen. And that came out in 75. So at the very least, we're talking 70s, 80s.
Okay, everyone's saying that it's set in 1997. So I feel like I just absolutely missed that.
Oh. Yeah, I absolutely missed that.
I knew that would happen. How am I supposed to remember one date?
Oh, to be fair, the prologue does say 97.
Oh yeah. Okay, yeah. I also thought that it was like alternate history because it's all about like a fascist society because they're always talking about the government. I think is it saying China? The government in China. So I always thought that it was just like alternate history because it's like just more fascist, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so I guess technically alternate history, but like 2 years. So I would almost call that current day. Because if you think about when he was actually writing it, it probably would have been a couple years before it was published in 99. So it was probably kind of it's just an alternate reality, I guess.
Yeah.
So it's kind of none of the above. It's just if things were different.
Also, I know a lot of people probably didn't enjoy the is it like a foreword, the bit before the actual story, but I actually found that really interesting because I'm a wrestling fan.
You mean?
The guy who's talking about wrestling before the book starts.
Yeah.
Like and I liked that bit because I'm a wrestling fan, and then I thought people probably would find that so boring and annoying. So I'm just like wondering if anyone actually read the opening remarks and if they enjoyed it, because as a big wrestling mark, I was having a great time.
I mean, I did, because I didn't really see it as much to do with like wrestling. I just thought it was an interesting introduction to the whole concept about like battle royales and how people think of them. And he had it was a really useful brief introduction to different strategies used. Like, do you hide and wait? Do you attack? Like, what's the best way to do it? Which I think is actually a really cool thing to just start getting you thinking about strategies and things like that before you get into the actual, like, program.
Yeah. I was wondering if anyone else read that, because I usually skip all that. Like, when I'm reading a book, I'd never read the introductions or anything like that.
Yeah, I read it because I assumed it was part of the book. If it had come before, like, the map and everything, I would have assumed it was like a author's note forward sort of thing, and I possibly would have skipped it. But because it was past that, I assumed it was like part of the core text. The only thing I haven't read is the author's note and stuff at the end. There's still like 20 pages of stuff at the end that I've not read yet, just because I've not had time, so I only finished it today. There's an afterword 2009 edition, which I've not read, which has like questions, which some people are saying are really interesting. So I'm definitely going to read it, but I haven't had a chance yet. I mean, that's fair. It's only 2 pages, so I feel like being bored for 2 pages isn't the end of the world. And I think as well, I had forgotten that a battle royale is just a style of fight, because I always associate that phrase with this book as the title. I forgot that it was just a general
concept of like
last man standing fight, and so I really liked that it reminded me of that. See, someone said the map is super useful.
I didn't use it.
The first time I'm looking at the map.
Yeah, I didn't use it either. I have this thing where I just can't visualize things anyway, so that means nothing to me. I can look at that and it still wouldn't help me knowing where the characters were.
That's the thing. I do it with fantasy books as well. Like, so many people say, like, oh my god, I couldn't read this, I didn't have the map. And I was like, I look at it at the beginning and go, ooh, pretty, and then don't look at it again. It doesn't help me. I just trust that the characters will come across each other when they need to. It doesn't actually make much difference if they're this far apart or this far apart. Because if they don't come across each other, it doesn't matter. So I just kind of trust that they'll tell me when I need to know they're near each other.
Yeah, and also it has the forbidden zones written down and the dates, and like that didn't, like, as long as it said you can't be here, so they left. That's all I needed to know about the forbidden zones. I literally
didn't know it had those till right now when I flicked back to it, and I'm astonished that it does. That feels kind of spoilery. I don't know.
I guess.
Right. We've been going for 17 minutes. I feel like we are safe to get into spoilers. So, big, dramatic spoilers incoming, giving you like 10, 15 seconds to run away / mute if you haven't read the book. Thank you for joining. If you have come this far, feel free to come back and watch this later once you've read the book, if you want to. But spoilers. We good? Everyone left that hasn't seen it? Okay. I'm trusting you. I'm not being blamed for spoiling this book, because we are allowed to just jump to the end now.
Yes.
On to the eyeball. This one. Spoilers incoming. Run, you fools.
We're about to talk about eyeballs, everyone.
Right. Where do we want to start with spoilers? I don't even know where to start.
It's such a... There's so many things that happen that it's like, where do you start? I did have some, I started in my phone writing down discussion points, and then I was so into the book that I just forgot to write down discussion points.
I love that. What have you got though? Come on, let's go through. I'm intrigued.
So the first point says fascist background context, and I thought that it was very interesting that throughout it would reference back to how even though they're trapped on this island, when they get off the island, they're trapped in their government anyway. And that even if you win, what do you even win in the first place? Like, and the whole point that the program, it just seems to have no point anyway. Like, no one can tell you what the program is for, like what it's about. And they're constantly like, why are we, like, what is the program for? And I just thought it was interesting that they're doing this, but they really don't have a reason to do this. Like, it doesn't benefit their country. I just can't see how it would benefit their country at all. I
think that was interesting. And I think this is actually a weird thing that was almost slightly spoiled by having read The Hunger Games and knowing The Hunger Games, is I just made the assumption that it was a scare tactic of some description. And like a tactic for oppressing people. I didn't think about it in much more detail than that, but I was just like, they claim it's for testing military stuff, and I was like, that clearly makes no sense.
Yeah.
You have untrained people with random weapons
Children
running around an island. Like, that's not useful for military tactics.
16-year-olds who have never probably used.
They're not even 16. They're 14 or 15. They're even younger.
Yeah, 15. Yeah.
Ridiculous. And only Kawada's 16, I think.
Yeah, he's still, because he's a year above, and he got put back because of his past.
Yeah,
I guess we can talk about that now as well.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a sec, I guess. But yeah, I think that's my thing. I just assumed that I was like, this is just the government being nefarious. I feel like this is so many years of reading fantasy and dystopian that I see something and I'm just like, that's definitely just the government being shit.
Assholes, yeah.
Like, it's gonna be. And then obviously right at the end, they have like the big reveal of why they do it. And I did find that interesting. I did find that whole scene, that was definitely one of the scenes in the whole book I was actually like, not like on the edge of my seat, but most kind of like, where's this going? Like, this one I can't quite see the way out of yet. But yeah, this is the thing when they talk about having like the birth rate lowering, and I was like, why are you killing people then?
Yeah, like that's the opposite. Like,
you have enough kids.
Yeah, you don't need to be killing them off.
It was really frustrating to me that it was set in like an almost slightly fictional country, because it's this like, what was it, Great Republic of
the Great
East Asia, the Republic of Great East Asia or something. It was like a coalition, I guess, of different countries. Because I genuinely wanted to Google roughly what their population was, how many schools there were, stuff like this. I feel like you're killing too many to have any left. Like, what proportion? Is it 1%? Is it, I think they did say at one point, like, your chance of being picked for it is 1 in 8 or something along those lines. But I was just like, that's a huge amount of your population to just kill. Basically.
Another discussion point, I've just written down Yukiko and Yumiko, and I think it's because I got into that point in the book and I was really sad at their death.
Yeah, that was...
I can't think of any other reason why I'd written that down other than that I kind of really liked their friendship, and then it kind of made me sad when they both died.
Yeah, that was a really sad moment. I think that was a good moment as well, because that was one of the first moments where you really truly see that being nice isn't gonna work. Because like up until that point, Stuya's been saying like, I want to try teaming up with more people, I want to, and part of you's like, well, maybe more people will be willing, and then you see that and you're like, okay, no, they're out for blood. This is seriously every man for himself. Like, yeah. But what we're saying about Kawada being put in twice, I figured that so early. I don't know if you're meant to. I feel like this is a running theme throughout the book, as I felt like I picked up on things possibly before I should, because there'd be like one small hint that I feel like is meant to make you wonder, and I'd be like, oh, cool. Yeah. And I feel like that, I don't know whether that was just me, but I'm like,
trying to remember.
The first thing he said, I think the first time it came up was like, is that the first person you've killed? And he went, this time. I was like, oh, cool, so you were in the previous round.
Yeah, and it's... I'm trying to think.
Later, they reveal it, and I was like, "Oh, okay."
I'm trying to think back to when I read it the first time. Like, when I read books, like, I'm incredibly stupid, so I don't think I picked up on it on the first time. But that's just because I'm not smart. But the second time round reading it, all of the things that he says really hint to him have been in it before. Like, all of the things he says, like literally every piece of dialogue goes back to that. So I can see how you'd pick up on that really easily. I don't know if anyone else in the comments guessed that, so let us know if you guessed as well.
Even on the bus, I was suspicious. I was like, why is he? But I didn't quite twig at that point why. But then pretty much, the first piece of dialogue we had from him in the actual game, I was just like, oh, cool. So he was in the previous round and he won it, and he's been put back in by bad luck. Because like, it's the fact he'd transferred, he was new, he was older, he like was scarred and seemed kind of odd. Like, it just fits.
Yeah.
But as I said, I feel like this is a running thing throughout the book for me. So like with that, I twigged that early. I mean, the other biggest one is the twist at the end with the fake killing. Literally, it was like gunshots, and I went, oh, cool, so they'll come back in a couple pages. I was like, there's no way they're dead. I was like, there's just no way they're dead. I wasn't sure how, but I just never believed that he'd shot them.
Yeah. Yeah,
I don't know whether I have too much faith in him being a nice person, or whether I just don't trust books to twist. But
yeah. And I think because he's been in it before, I would like he wouldn't have done that again. Like, this is his second time in this game. He would have figured out, like, because it even said that whilst he was in his hospital bed, like when he was recovering, he was researching the game and he was thinking about the game. So the whole time he was thinking about the game. There's no way that he would have just killed those two people right at the end. Like, he obviously had a plan. I mean, he kept saying that he had a plan, but yeah, I don't think I believed it, like, the first time I read it either, that he would have just betrayed them so quickly and easily.
Yeah, I was just like, it just doesn't make sense, because also, even with the logic of they did help him and they did help him survive, overall, he would have survived fine on his own and really not. Like, he was massively encumbered, especially by Noriko. So it just...
Yeah, if he was going to betray them, he would have just dropped Noriko, like, right at the start, because she was, like, close to dead anyway.
Yeah, he wouldn't have tried to... I mean, I guess you can get into the whole, like, reverse psychology thing of, like, oh, well, he brought her back to life to gain more trust from Shuya, because he could have just let her die. Like, there's not... You never would have accused him of killing her if he hadn't saved her. But also, you can gain a lot of trust by helping. And you can get into all of this, and I feel that's why the twist can be believable. But I just didn't buy it. Though I will admit that was the one point in the book where I hadn't figured out how. So, like, when he was then on the ship and being questioned and got found out, I was not surprised that he'd got found out, because I kind of felt like that was going to be inevitable, but that scene was really, really good. And the one thing I was confused about at that point was, like, how much has he figured this out? Has he actually got you in a corner now? Because I wouldn't be surprised with a book like this if the ending was, you lost. You tried, but you lost. Everyone is dead. Like, that would have personally, to me, felt like a completely valid way to end this book.
Oh, yeah.
Like, that finality of you tried, you failed anyway. And so I thought it might go that direction, and obviously it didn't. But, yeah. I would have actually quite liked that.
There's a bunch of manga adaptations, and there's also a companion graphic novel that I've not read yet that I really, really want to read.
Is that the one with the lighthouse scene, girls?
I think so. I think it's called Angel's Border or something.
Yeah, it's the one India's just read,
Yeah, I really want to read that so bad.
I enjoyed that.
Can we just... The lighthouse scene. Did that shock you? The lighthouse scene? Oh, God! It sent me over the edge. I was like, so many people died.
I feel like it was dramatic, and I found it really cool to read, and I was like engaged with it. But the second someone picked up the poison soup, the first thought in my head was, cool, how many of them are going to kill each other in panic?
Yeah.
Instantly was just like, they're all going to freak out, they're all going to kill each other. Like, I just called it. The thing I didn't call was then Yuko basically killing herself. That surprised me. I'll give you that. I mean, it was a brilliant scene. I thought it was really well written.
I think I have such gut reactions to books. Like, I always am like this with books. Like, it doesn't even have to have been this book. Any book that I read, I will have like such a big reaction to it. So I think that's why I reacted to it so much. Because, like, it just seemed crazy to me.
But this one just for some reason didn't quite. I feel like I've had this before, and it may or may not be the same. All Japanese translated fiction I have read has never impacted me how I thought it would. I think it is something to do with the writing style of Japanese fiction, and therefore the way it's translated, for whatever reason, doesn't necessarily vibe with me. Like, same with... I think it can depend. Didn't impact me in the way it should have done.
I think it can depend on the translator as well. Like, lots of translators translate things differently. Like, they could be trying to just catch the mood, or they could be trying to translate it word for word. So it would be different if it was done in either way. I've not read any other translations of this. I think there's one other translation of this. I think there's only 2 translations of this. But yeah, I've only read this one.
Yeah, no, I like agreeing with people in the comments. I thought the scene was amazing. It was so well done. And
it was a mess, though. It was a downright mess.
I really, really enjoyed it. But it just didn't give me, like, the really strong reaction I was expecting it to. Like, I feel like my reaction was, wow, that was a lot of drama. That was fun. Not, like...
I was flipping. I was doing death drops. I was throwing the book in the air.
Oh, my God. Also, I've just seen this. I've not seen the film. I loved Shia. You guys think he's annoying?
I really like Shua as well, but I've never seen the film, so...
Absolutely love him. Him, Kawada, and Noriko, I genuinely love them.
A good solid.
And as I've seen a few people saying, freaking justice for Shinji, probably my favorite character. That was the one that I was gutted.
Yeah. And like, I remember the first time that I read this, I thought Shinji's plan was going to be the plan. So when all of that backfired, I was like, well, what are they going to do now?
I didn't necessarily think it was going to be the thing that made them like win or escape or whatever, but I did think his plan was going to succeed, not necessarily to the extent he wanted it to, but I didn't think the reason it wouldn't work would be him getting killed by someone else. I thought it might like slightly go wrong. I will admit that was the one time in the book where I got really like, huh, because when it was they were going to the forbidden scene with the time not left. Forbidden section area with the time running out, and I was just like, oh my God, is it worth it? Is it worth it? Is it worth it? What are you doing? Oh my God.
Yeah. I really want to watch the film now.
I was so sad when Shinji died, though. I can't remember the name of the person he was teamed up with. You know,
was it Yoshitoki? Was it Yoshitoki?
No, Yoshitoki died in the classroom. No, he didn't. Yeah, he did. Yeah.
Was that Shua's friend from the start? Yeah.
Was it?
Oh yeah, Kunobu, because his name was Mr. Nobu. Noriko nicknamed him Mr. Nobu, so that was him. I just think it began with Y. Was it who?
Was it Yutaka Sato?
It could have been. Comments, help us out, please. We knew this was gonna happen.
We knew this would happen. There's so many names.
Yeah. I think it was Sato.
Whoever it was, I loved those two, and I feel like my heart broke because I loved Shinji so much, and he clearly was just trying to do the right thing so much. And then when someone else approached them that near the end of the plan, and his plans had already been scuppered so many times, and he was just so intelligent and working so hard. It was Yutaka, that's the one. Thank you.
Yes. Sato.
It is Sato.
Yeah.
And his plans had gone wrong so many times already, and then all he wanted to do was just get this guy to run away and leave them alone so he could get on with it, because he knew he couldn't save all three of them, but he thought maybe he could save two of them. And then he ends up having to kill someone, which clearly destroyed him.
Yeah,
and
he did not want to do that.
And I was just like, Shinji, I love you so much.
Yeah. When the moment that he figured out that they were listening to him and he started writing things down to communicate with Sato, I was like, this guy's so smart.
So smart. It was, I'm not gonna lie, that scene was agony when the computer went off and we knew why and he couldn't figure it out, and I was just like looking at the book like, they can hear you, and then he suddenly figured it out. I was like, thank you.
Thank God. Yeah.
That was the other thing as well. I think that's one of the biggest reasons I didn't believe the ending with the whole fake gunshots thing, was because I didn't believe for a second that Kawada didn't know they were listened to. Even if he hadn't been in the game before, he was a level of skeptical where he would have just assumed they could be heard and monitored at all times. And so him making this big master plan whilst being listened to, I was like, I don't for a second believe he doesn't know they're being listened to.
Yeah.
I just don't.
Also, can we talk about how much he smoked? Is he okay?
Oh, yeah.
He was lighting up every 5 seconds a new cigarette.
Literally, he got about 5 cigarettes a page. I feel like that was meant to be like really impactful and like affect you and be like, I don't know if it was like meant to be trauma or what. I feel like there was meant to be a thing that I was meant to draw from that, other than, dude,
stop.
What are you doing? Yeah.
I can just imagine him being, I've not seen the film, but if he smokes as much in the film, I imagine him being like that brooding guy with his hair over his face, like having his...
And like his character development throughout the book, though, is he got like more human and clearly formed this genuine friendship with Noriko and Shua.
Yeah. I really love like hard characters that get a heart. They're the type of characters that I just really enjoy reading.
I love that. I love as well when it's like a really tough, like broody character, and then you discover not only are they like softening up, but they've actually always been really freaking soft. And he's like, oh, yeah, the reason I saved you two is because you're a cute couple. I'm like, you're so hard and broody. Okay. Justice for Hiroki. That was a freaking heartbreaking scene when he finally found his girl and she shoots him.
God, yeah. I was just reading to figure out who that was, and I was like, oh, he's the guy that he spent so much time just trying to find this one.
I feel like for me that was one of the most believable scenes in the book. I really thought her reaction was spot on. Like, it's someone she may have one day thought she'd trust, and I liked the way it was written as well, that it wasn't just that she'd run away scared, but you see that internal dialogue, or like almost an omniscient thing of, it doesn't matter what he was saying, this is how she was hearing it.
Yeah.
Because I feel like that is exactly how I would react. Like, fight or flight, instant, run away, impossible to hear things the right way.
Yeah, I did like that, because like we were talking about this at one point. Throughout the whole book, there's a whole thing about crushes, and everyone has a crush on everyone, and it's like that at least felt kind of realistic, because she like didn't like melt instantly because he was saying all of this stuff to her.
Yeah, I was saying this to Spoops whilst reading it for people in the comments who don't see our private messages. I got so frustrated with all these people about to die and needing to save themselves and being like, you know what? I want to find my crush. I was like, bro. Priorities, please. They're gonna die anyway.
Like, I think this is me just being a big softie, but the two characters that were already going out that ended up dying together, like they didn't have that thing. I liked that. Well, I didn't like it. It made me sad, but yeah, everyone else who had crushes, it was a little bit like.
I feel like if it had been one or two pairings where it felt like either an established relationship or even like Hiroki just having to feel like the thing he needed to do before he died was confessing. That I almost felt, especially as we just had the scene with Kyoko kind of saying she wished she could do the same to the guy she had a crush on from outside of school. So that I kind of felt, but it was just the number of people who were like mourning and like destroyed because their crush has died or because like they aren't with their crush. I was like, you're all going to die.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter. Like, I know that's really heartless, but yeah, I feel like if it had been less couplings, I wouldn't have minded it because it's just everyone.
Yeah, everyone did seem to have
crushes.
And like, it seems to be the only thing that they'd be like, I know they're in like strange situations and they probably don't know what to talk about, but they're always like, oh, did you have a crush on anyone? You want to tell me now if you had a crush on anyone?
Yeah, I like Shia, so I don't mind them having a crush on Shia.
I like.
Why does everyone not like? Did I miss something? Everyone's just like, why did anyone like Shia? Because he was lovely.
He was lovely.
I've missed something here. Also, this makes me laugh that you thought you were being so smart. The book got you. I thought you'd outsmarted it. That's so funny. Oh my god, that's brilliant.
I know I probably shouldn't say that I fancied them because they're like 14, 15, but Mitsuko, I just can't get over Mitsuko. I really like Mitsuko's character. And it's really heartbreaking. I had forgotten her past, by the way. So when I read this again and I was like, holy Christ, Mitsuko, give me a hug. You need a hug. And Kadoa as well. Love Kadoa. Broody man. But yeah, they're the two that I love the most.
Yeah, the thing I found as well, you say like, you can't say it's because they're 14, 15. It felt to me like a Six of Crows situation where they're written as 14, but they're actually mid-20s. Like, not quite as dramatic, but they definitely felt like they acted like 17, 18-year-olds at least.
Yeah, that's why I'd forgotten their ages. Like, because when I first read it, I mustn't have like taken into consideration already, because I was like, I'm so excited to read this again because I fancy Mitsuko, and I was like, oh my god, I should not say that, she's like 15.
No, Mitsuko was a fascinating character as well. I feel like hers was so interesting, especially in comparison to Kiriyama, because they were both doing the like cold-hearted killer thing, but from such different perspectives. That Kiriyama you just hated, whereas Mitsuko you could massively empathize with, and I was almost weirdly rooting for her killing people, which I'm not sure that I'm okay with, but we're gonna go with.
It's whenever there was like a boy that obviously could see Mitsuko as like a sexual figure, and she'd like play on that and then be like, yeah, Mitsuko.
Although she obviously had like a lot of trauma and a lot going on, and at the age she shouldn't know how to do that. Props for her intelligence. That is one seriously canny person. They see the opportunity they're in, they see the situation they're in, and they just know whether it's right or wrong. That intelligence and emotional intelligence to be able to manipulate someone that successfully to exactly what you want them to do, so you can then have the position of power, is incredibly impressive.
It's literally like chess. She is playing chess with these little boys. She's moving them to where she wants them to be. Yeah, I really do like Mitsuko. I enjoyed reading about her again. Yeah, no, I agree. And the one moment I didn't like her was just when she killed Kyoko. And I don't even know why, because Kyoko had decided she was going to kill herself anyway. But something about that moment just sort of, I don't know. I was just like... Also, the whole thing at the end, where Mitsuko is there and then she hears the way to get back to Shua with the bird call, and then bloody Kiriyama is there as well, and he hears it, and I'm like, no, Mitsuko needed to hear that.
No! What? No! I may have liked her, but I wanted to win.
I was like, Mitsuko to the end.
I liked her, but I don't want to killing Kawada and Shia and Naruko.
She might have come round. At that point. She did have a little bit of a heart.
No, she wouldn't.
Oh my god, the gays love Mitsuko.
I mean,
I was like, how? Like, when that happened, I was like, how did that not hurt you?
Also, this was, and it could have been explained, but it wasn't. This was the one continuity error I found in the book. After that scene, she runs off in just her underwear.
She does.
And then the next time we see her, she's back in uniform.
Yeah, I noticed that actually. And it never says that she gets dressed again. I just presumed that she got dressed again, but it like...
Yeah, but she ran off from that scene. Did she end up managing to kill them both? Oh, she did. She probably went straight back to her uniform then.
Yeah, she probably went
back.
In my
head, she did run off. The uniform was like abandoned, but she was still nearby, wasn't she, actually?
Yeah, because she kissed that guy before she killed him.
Yeah, that was an interesting moment.
It was because he was talking to her as like I guess like a human. Like they were talking, and she said something like she felt that she'd never had a conversation like that or something like that. I feel like she might have like just, well, I know she killed him anyway, but she'd give a little kiss before he dies. As a thank you, I guess.
She was almost merciful in the way she killed people. Like, she was brutal. But even like in moments like that, as long as someone hadn't wronged her, she did kind of, it was mentioned a few times of like, well, at least they went out in a good way. Like, she didn't want to hurt people. She just was on survival instincts, as she had been for a very long time.
Oh yeah, she's been running on survival instincts since she was 9.
Yeah, exactly. 100%. So it was very interesting. This as well. Bulletproof vests literally had superpowers in this book. It literally just made you invincible.
I hated how he got the vest though, Kiriyama.
Yeah.
I hated that.
Yeah.
And they couldn't understand why he wasn't dying because they didn't know they had that on.
I agree with this as well. I feel like I never got a strong sense of Kiriyama other than him being this killer. And I feel like I would have really appreciated... So I feel like every other character we got a significant backstory. I don't know whether I just kind of missed his, but I never felt like why he was the way he was. And I would have liked to.
Yeah. I think at one point Shua and Noriko was talking about Kuriyama, and Noriko was like, I think he's just doing it because he's doing it. Like, I don't think he's thinking too, like, he doesn't have those emotions. I think he's just doing it. So maybe he was supposed to just be like
completely
psychopath.
They did discuss about him being just completely emotionless, and he had a section where he said, like, I've never felt an emotion before.
Yeah. So maybe that's why he didn't get a backstory as much as like.
They did have the bit of backstory about like him having a scar or something on his head, where they think like an actual part of his brain may have been damaged that damaged his emotions and stuff.
Yeah.
Oh,
Kiriyama seemed like a robot.
This is I guess a little week before he dies. The fact she has a heart.
It's so funny, like when Ray finished the book, she sent me so many voice notes, and I'm so happy that she had like the visceral reactions that I did, because she was like popping off on the voice notes, and I was like, yes, this is exactly how I felt about all of these moments in this book.
We've just figured that bit out. They did kind of explain it. For some reason, it didn't really stick with me. I
mean, I had forgotten as well until you mentioned it then. And I read it twice.
I think it is explained, but it's kind of done in bits throughout the book, and it's not as easy to like stick in your brain. But I also agree with this. I didn't feel like it necessarily made sense that much, because I guess it depends where the line between like emotions and like where the line of emotions is, because he says he doesn't have emotions, but he has enough strong feelings to have a severe sense of self-preservation and the desire to kill other people. And like that may not necessarily be emotional, but like where is that line drawn? And it was obviously very vague, but
yeah. I mean, there's a lot of the representation in this book that we've both said that we don't like, so we could go on to that.
Yes.
Yeah, right. I'm gonna say this is one of my favorite books, like perhaps the favorite book. There is moments that Mr. Takami does not tackle the things that he needs to tackle in the right way,
but it is funny as anything.
Yeah, I think it is down to when it was written, because it was written in the 90s, and I don't know if anyone's like studied. I don't know if it was the same in Japan because he's Japanese, but I don't know if many people know that in the 90s it was like the rise of the new man, and it made a lot of like men feel insecure about themselves. So I don't know if there's like context behind the reason why he's done some of these representations so poorly, but there is things that are not good in this book.
I honestly just fucking laughed because I wanted to be mad at it, but I couldn't be when it was literally introduced as he was ... new line ... Yeah. I was like, I just have to laugh. There's no other response other than to laugh at it. And calling him a fairy and being like he was so queer and he was so strange and he was a stalker.
Yeah, he was a stalker. Why was he a stalker?
This character had never been mentioned, and then like the chapter after, suddenly another guy goes like, "Oh, we always hated him. He was gay," and I was just like, "What the hell?" Like, it's just so weird.
And he was like, he had a comb and he was brushing his pompadour, and it was just, oh my god, just the worst rep that I might have ever seen.
Hilariously bad rep. I kind of liked the character though. He gave me a giggle.
Yeah, he was funny. He was a funny character.
And was like, I care about how I look. I think this guy is hot. And it was like it was like Shinji or something. I was like, move.
Maddie loves Shinji. Maddie loves Shinji.
I love Shinji and Kawada and Noriko and Shia and kind of Mitsuko as well.
They are top tier characters.
I did like the characters a lot. Oh, that was true. I was genuinely rooting for him getting rid of Kuriyama though.
Oh my god, yeah.
Really hoping that he was.
I thought he might have been the one. I thought it was really smart actually that you followed the guy that you thought was going to kill everyone, because then he would kill everyone and you would be not that far behind him without him knowing. Kind of smart. Although he did get caught.
I have no idea if this was the approach, but if it was, I like it.
Yeah, like you don't know. Like you don't know if it's satire.
Yeah.
Like, if it's like poking fun at what people think of homosexuality, or if he was just doing it very badly.
Or just poking fun at homosexuality as well.
Yes, you just don't know which.
The thing as well, which I think seems wrong, but an interesting valid point, although the character himself was depicted ridiculously, if you think about the lens this is being taken from, if that does just reflect the views of the time, especially other characters then referencing it, like referencing this character in a negative way, that may seem wrong. You're like, you can't say that. But if that was genuinely like the view of the time / the view he wanted in this fictional alternate reality, it's not bad rep as much as a realistic representation of what he wanted it to feel like. It doesn't mean it's okay to hate gay people, but if that was a genuine part he wanted put in, because that would make sense. They hate rock music, they hate anything.
Yeah, it was a complete fascist society.
Perfect sense for them to hate gay people. So I wouldn't even be that shocked if it was more of a like from the lens of this world. It may also just have been that it was kind of slightly unintentionally homophobic, but you know,
we don't know.
I mean, this as well.
Yeah, you got to take into consideration like when it was written, what the context is. Like, there's a whole factor of things that could have gone into that rep.
It's very possible.
But yeah, it's interesting. They did talk about America a lot in that book.
Yeah,
like how like the classmates, like Shua and Noriko, wanted to go to America, but like the whole government and the place that they live hate America.
Yeah, I will admit this is the one phrase that really annoyed me. But again, it's not nice, but it's not necessarily bad if it's just a genuine that is how these characters would respond. Like, I think it's this difference between that like what is the word I'm looking for? Nuance between the author believing that and therefore putting it into their book, which in this instance may also be the case, versus a character saying something awful because the character
thinks that. I always think this when someone says this book has bad rep. I'm like, okay, but is it written within the author's words, like, or is it in character dialogue? Because if it's in character dialogue, it might be the character you're supposed to hate because they have these views.
Exactly. And I agree also there's, to an extent, you know, if you see that enough times, that's still harmful. And if there's no need for it to be there and it's not a genuinely important point, you're putting it in for no reason for a pointless character, like, piece, then no, don't do it.
Yeah.
But it's just interesting. And we will never know that nuance.
Too much. It was like 2 pages, I think, that it had this character in it. Like, that too.
Yeah, he was literally in it for like 1 3-page chapter. And then mentioned once or twice later. It was one of the characters mentioned least. Also, what was with the random possessed character at the end? We got down to 5 people and we meet this new character who thinks they're possessed by something. What?
Was it Inada?
Yeah.
She thought she was a warrior princess because she watched it on TV, or it was a character that she really liked.
I was so confused. I was really confused when the count got to 5 because I was like, we've got Kawaii and Noriko, and then we've got Kiriyama. Who the hell else is left? And then we just have this chapter. And Iwata is just like, I'm a warrior princess. I have a sword. I don't know what just happened, but what the hell is going on? It was Inada.
I think it's because she was hiding for so long, and then she just came out, and she was like, yes, I've got this now. There's only 4 people left. Warrior princess to the go.
That was the most unexpected part of the book, to say the least.
Random. But I would read a whole book of her character. It's because I'm so confused.
See, this is the thing. I thought she'd snapped and there was psychotic break due to the game. But it literally said in her chapter, oh yeah, when I asked one of my friends before to call me this. So it was clearly a fantasy she had in some level held before the game.
Yeah.
Which is just intriguing.
No one would call her that because she's not that.
Oh yeah. Well, I don't know what happened there, but it was unexpected, to say the least.
Sorry, Brad just came in with my tea.
Right, we are running out of time somehow. So last couple bits. We've kind of covered the twist at the end. That was what it is. Kawada dying.
Oh my god, yeah. I mean, it felt good that he did, because
it felt
right. Felt like it would have been too good to be true if all three of them could. And plus, Kawada he must be tired. Like, he's had this whole, like, I'm going to take down the government situation going on in his head for such a long time now, because he was in the first game, then he was recovering, and he came into the second game. But yeah, I was really sad though, because I did really like his character.
I was sad, but it felt right, and I'm weirdly glad for it, because like you said, I didn't want him to go back and keep fighting. It wasn't going to do him any good.
No, he was already a broken man.
But there wasn't space for him to go to America, but that's clearly not what he wanted to do, really, though he said at the end he had decided he would have done. But it would have haunted him his whole life. And I'm not saying, like, oh, if you're not going to be happy, then die. Like, of course. But it felt like a more realistic and almost more peaceful ending to the book, that he had done what he set out to achieve coming into that second game. He had saved a pair of people, and they got out and they knew what they were fighting against, and they were going to go and fight from a much better perspective than he would have done.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm really sad he died. I kind of saw it coming and then forgot and then remembered, because when he was shot by Kiriyama, I was like, there's no way he's making this out alive. But then it was like a good ages before he got there, so I had kind of forgotten that he'd been shot.
Oh, and he stayed so strong to get what he needed to get done. Kawada! Little baby. Oh my god.
Yeah. I love this as well, the reality of, like, you need to get out first.
Yeah.
There is no point trying to, like, just dive back in. Like, you need to be ready. Get outside, of course.
Yeah. Oh. Oh god. And I do love Shua and Noriko, and I'm glad that they managed to, because at the end they were like running off together, and I'm glad of that. And I would love to see, this guy didn't write anything else after this. He was done. But I would have loved to see them perhaps older and maybe going back or something. I don't know.
The one thing as well I was going to talk about in the last couple minutes is literally the final line.
Yeah, oh my god.
Bloody good line. Love me a good final line. Once again, 2 students remain, but of course, now they're with you.
They're with you.
That was so good. And I loved, although it's like alternate history or alternate reality, whatever we want to call it, I loved that moment of, like, tying it into your own reality of, like, I don't know if that was meant to be like now with you as in, like, with the reader. I read it as, like, they're now running around in your society, like they're still out there. And I love that it can be a bit too easy to separate from a book like this, because it's like, well, it's not our world. And I like that kind of, it makes you feel like it is.
Yeah. And also the first thing that you said there is with the reader, it's so true, because they live in my head every single day. They are alive, and they're alive with all of the readers, as well as what you said.
I agree with this. I'm just realizing, have I been reading his name the wrong way around the whole book? 1 minute. Just discovering if I can read. Oh no, I can read. It's fine.
Come on.
I thought I had the D and the W the wrong way around. And I was like, wait, have I read this wrong? The whole book? No, I'm good. And yeah, no, he absolutely, his goal was to save these 2 people. He had no intention of actually him getting through it again. You could tell that by the way he was speaking, like when he asked them, what are your plans? And they turned around and said, well, what are yours? And he was kind of like, I don't know, take down the government maybe? Continue doing what I'm doing?
Yeah, he didn't know, because he didn't think it was good.
He had no idea. He had no concept of the fact that he might survive it twice. Also, this was, people mentioned in the comments right at the beginning, do you think it was complete coincidence that he went in again or not?
I'm just really trying to remember what happened was he living with his uncle and they got, like, his parents got taken away because they were too radical? Do you remember that? His past was that, I think that I've read this twice and I'm still struggling, but I think it was something like his mum and dad were taken away from the government because they were too radical, like they were joining protests and stuff, and that's why he was living with his uncle. But then his uncle also got taken away, I think. But yeah, maybe he was put in twice because the government actually wanted him to be killed, because his whole family the whole time were troublemakers.
See, I don't know whether it was intentional or not, and I kind of don't care. I loved that the author did that though, because it adds such a dark spin to this game. Because at the beginning, they've done quite a good job of making this game seem like, oh, it's random, it's a thing that has to be done. And it's a bit too easy to rationalize. Seeing someone go in twice, you instantly see just the utter hell that it is. There is no out, there is no way to win. You are always trapped. And I thought that was good and very impactful.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly this.
Yeah.
You do wonder if it's happened before.
Yeah, you don't hear from any of the winners. Like, Cadwell probably knew that even if he did get out again, that they'd find him again, probably. Or something would happen to him again.
Yes. Interesting. Do we have any final thoughts? Because we have hit an hour.
Someone was saying about Sakamochi. Dick. Head.
No, don't like him. Awful human being.
Just the worst. He has kids. He has children.
Hated him the whole way through. Then when you get to the end, like, yeah, my kids would happily die for the cause. I was like, what is wrong with you? Like, at least abuse your position of power enough to save your own family. Have that much power. Like, come on. Awful human being. But also, in that way, fascinating that he is so indoctrinated by this being the right thing to do that he would happily sacrifice his own family for it. Yeah. It almost makes me feel sorry for him instead of hate him, because he has clearly been indoctrinated.
Oh yeah, it's drilled into him that this is the way. Also, he didn't have to be so sassy though in his announcements.
In his announcements, when he picked up the phone, he was such a dick.
Oh my god, when he picked up that phone, I was like, bro, you have to be such an ass about it.
Oh. Yeah. He was just awful.
It was kind of funny though. I know it's awful, but like his sassy bits were pretty funny.
Yeah. I liked it. Right. Do we have any final thoughts? Any final thoughts from the comments? Because we can always run over a little bit. It's not the end of the world.
Yeah. I'm just going to say, I just love this book so much.
I did enjoy it. I feel like discussing it has given me a more positive view of it. It's not going to like jump up to a 5-star. It's still a 4.
4 is still good. I will take that.
A 4 is good. A 4 is not bad at all.
Yeah.
If it's one of these ifs, you never know. If I'd read it quicker, it could have been a 5. I don't know. But I'm happy with a 4. I enjoyed it. It was an interesting read, so.
Yeah, I'm very happy you gave it a 4. 4 is still fantastic. And I'm so happy that so many people in the comments and in the Discord liked it as well.
I want to answer too many. I have no idea. No idea. Too many.
Death. Oh my god, there's so many of them. I mean, we all will remember the eyeball thing forever, so maybe the eyeball scene. Oh, that eyeball scene is crazy.
I mean, I'm pretty sure you can continue to DM Spoops or just DM me. I think
we can talk about it
as well. So
yeah, we will talk about it forever.
Discord is still going. Like, feel free to continue to discuss the book in Discord.
Yeah.
Like, I fully read that as India's death, and I was like, "Am I missing something?"
I read that as well, and I was like, "India's not died."
God, I need to watch the film. I'm intrigued by the film.
Yeah, I would like to watch the film as well. I need to watch it.
Oh my god, I forgot this.
I forgot about that.
In any way, shape, or form. That was grotesque.
Oh my god. I'm just like, because when I was growing up, I watched a lot of horror films. It was like, I would watch them to bed and like, it just didn't bother me. I'm so desensitized that stuff like that just makes me laugh. The whole book was just making me laugh so much.
It doesn't like make me feel ill. It doesn't like bother me, but it was more, how does someone think of this? Is the author okay?
This is why he's not written another book again. This is not okay.
Right.
Someone was saying, also just quickly, Helen said, what would have been your plan? And my plan was just to die.
Yeah.
I would have just died.
I
would have let someone else kill me.
My plan would be basically first time the Forbidden Zone was announced, go to the middle of it.
Yeah.
Knock myself out, fall asleep, just sit, force myself to stay there until it's too late. Basically, me not doing anything, it would be instantaneous and just get out of there. I don't want to be put in a situation where I have to kill someone. I don't know if I could. I wouldn't want to live with the trauma if I did. And
I just don't have that much will to live.
I'm slightly defeatist and slightly cynical, and to an extent, my view is, it sounds so bad, my view is kind of like, if you're dead, you can't miss anything. So it's not like I'm going to be sad that I'm dead because I'll be dead. I can't be sad. Yeah. So kind of get the inevitable out of the way as soon as possible.
100%. I love how we're like, no fight, no will.
We'll give up.
Don't want to live.
Oh dear. Right, on that lovely positive note, shall we call it a day?
Yes, I think that was a very good discussion.
Thank you so much to all of you who joined us. Thank you so much to everyone in the comments for joining in so much and for reading with us. As I said at the beginning, if you would like to read our next book, it is The Day of the Triffids. I don't have it to hold up yet because I don't own it yet.
I don't own it either.
The Discord is up and running. That channel is already there if you want to start reading it. We are doing a buddy read for it, which we will announce on the Discord, which will be starting on the 12th of April is when we will be starting the official buddy read for it. You don't have to read it then. It's just if you want to. And the live will be on the 25th of April, so 2 weeks later. Hopefully we will see you all there. I'm excited. Thank you so much for joining, and we will see you next time. Bye.